Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I've gotten so many questions about the CONUS curriculum and how to plan it. And even though I have already done a video on how we use CONUS in our homeschool, I didn't get into the specifics of how exactly we plan it out. So that is what I am going to share with you today, planning CONUS in a relaxed homeschool. Now, first of all, I want to point out that I am going to be using my CONUS curriculum with you. And if you have not been here before and have not seen my copy of CONUS, it looks like it's been through a war. That is because this is well loved. As you can see, there's papers coming out. It's dog-eared. When we really like a curriculum in our house, you can tell because it is so visibly worn like this. I have so many kids that I use it with, and so this book is opened over and over and over again. So I just want to get that out of the way right away. This curriculum is well loved. Now, I know that a lot of people, when they see this curriculum, they get a little bit intimidated by the size of it, okay? Now, first of all, as you can see, this is CONUS Curriculum Volume 2. There are 3 volumes of CONUS curriculum. And if you aren't really sure what CONUS is, it is a character-based unit study curriculum. Now, before I actually get into showing you closely how I plan it out, there are a few things that I wanted to point out with you. First of all, don't let the size of this intimidate you. This is not something that has to be covered in a year. This is not something that has to be covered in 2 years or even 3 years, depending on how you use it. Don't ever look at this and think that this is something that has to be done all in 1 year. That is the first thing that I wanted to point out. The second thing I wanted to point out is that when it comes to planning a homeschool day, there are only 2 subject areas that I make sure that we hit every single day, and that is language arts and math. All of the other subject areas, you'll see when I plan it out that I don't pay much attention to when I'm doing history, when I'm doing science. I don't have certain days to do those sorts of things because they all will get covered, as a unit study is cross-curricular and it does hit on every subject. But since language arts and math are those foundational skills, they are the 2 major subjects that you want to make sure that you get every day. Those are the 2 that I focus on, making sure they're always in there. Now, with that being said, CONUS is comprehensive. You do not need a separate history curriculum. You do not need a separate science curriculum. And I would say that unless you have a very gifted artist, you don't need a separate art curriculum. You don't need a separate geography curriculum. This curriculum really does cover everything. And speaking from experience, I can tell you that if you do try to do it in addition to another history curriculum or another science curriculum, not only will it be redundant because you'll be covering the same subject areas over and over again, even if it is different topics, but you're going to find yourself getting frazzled really quickly. And that is one thing that we do not want to do in a relaxed homeschool. So I just wanted to get those things out of the way. Now I'm going to give you a closer look at what it looks like on the inside and how I plan it out in a way that is not stressful at all. Okay, so yes, here is my fraggled, is that even a word, copy of CONUS curriculum. And I'm just going to go over a few things with you right away. Okay, well, first of all, let's just say, even though this isn't a review, I'll just show you that each of the volumes goes over different character traits. That's what all of those are. Now, the reason that people seem to get so stressed out about using CONUS curriculum, so intimidated, beyond the size of it, is just because of the way that it is written. Because there are unit study activities just listed like this. Okay. And so what happens is a lot of people look at these unit study activities and they think to themselves, how in the world am I supposed to use that? Because a lot of us are just used to those pre-written schedules. Now, first of all, what I want to show you is that they do have different types of schedules in the beginning of CONUS telling you how you can use it. Now, my advice to you is don't look at them. Make up your own schedule. If you have enough willpower to look at these schedules only as ideas, then go for it. But if you take notice, these schedules are very schoolish. 8 to 9, phonics of your choice. 9 to 9:30, CONUS reading from lesson plans. 9:30 to 10, break. 10 to 10:45, math. 10:45 to 11:30, CONUS writing from lesson plans. And then break, and then more CONUS activities in the afternoon for 2 hours. And that is why I'm saying if you're going to look at something like that, in a relaxed homeschool, you're going to think, oh my word, what have I gotten myself into? So don't look at those. Another thing that is included in this curriculum that the authors really meant well in doing it are these schedules. And what you will notice is they will give you different activities to do for different age groups. There's older, middle, younger. And then they will give you the numbers of the activities. And they will just, they give this to you for a guide for assigning the activities. This is another instance where I'm going to say, don't even look at these. You do not need them. And yeah, I used to use them and they used to stress me out. So here is where it comes down to the very simple planning of CONUS. Now, first of all, the most important thing that you need to figure out before planning CONUS is how many activities you think your kids will be able to handle per day from a unit study. We started out with 4 activities per day, and I noticed that my kids just couldn't handle that. We went down to 3. It was still a little bit too much. We've now been down to 2 CONUS activities per day for several years now, and it seems to work perfectly for us. Okay, so that is very, very important. Each family is different. Figure out how many activities both you and your kids can handle. And if you need to change that number of activities, absolutely do that. But at least have an idea when you get this started. Now, we'll just look here in the very first unit study here. This is for inquisitiveness. Now, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you the topics that are covered in this unit study curriculum in volume 2 specifically. Let me just see if I can find it. Okay, so here we have all of the topics that are used in this unit study. And this is another question that I have had. How do you use this? Like, do you have to go through it straight through? Can you skip around? And it really comes down to you can do it however you want. Usually I will start at the beginning and I will just go down. Unless I happen to see that it coincides with a Beautiful Feet books lesson that we're doing at the time. Then I might change it and do another unit study instead. That is entirely up to you though. If you prefer to just follow the unit studies as it shows them, absolutely do that. If you think there are some unit studies here that your kids won't like and others that jump out at you as something that would be interesting, then yes, do that. They do not have to be done in any certain order. So that's first of all. Now, for me to start out planning a unit study from CONUS, like I said, I only will schedule 2 activities per day. When we start a unit, a brand new unit study, I will usually pick a Bible verse and I will use that for copy work. Okay, so then I would write down on my lesson plan, we'll just say Proverbs 18:15, and we'll just say, I'm going to say D1 because I don't date my schedule. I just do it day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So right there we've got copy work, and I'm using a Sharpie because I was hoping that you'd be able to see this easier. So we've got copy work. Now, for the second activity, yes, I count that copywork as one activity. And that is usually something, like I said, that I only do on the very first day of a unit study. We'll go back to the books later. Now, the next thing that I do is I will start here where it says activities, and I will start reading through the separate activities that they have listed. You do not have to do all of the activities listed. You absolutely should not do all of the activities listed, or you will be on the same curriculum for 10 years, okay? And it's gonna just completely suck the joy out of it for you. Only choose activities that your children and you can handle. This is so important. But anyway, so what I usually do is I will start reading through the activities. And when I get to an activity that I think my kids would enjoy, I'll write it down. So here we go. So we'll say number 8. Questions are always followed by a question mark. Change the following sentences into questions. And then we have that. So I might think, oh, okay, so my kids would enjoy doing that. I hope you can see this. My kids might enjoy doing this activity here. So I'm going to write this down. So on day 1, sorry, I'm just like trying to go back and forth between the two. So underneath day 1, I will put number 8, because that's the number activity that it is. And I'll just put a brief note so that I have an idea of what it is. But when we're actually doing the lesson, I'll come back and look at it anyway. So we'll just say number 8, and I'll just write question mark so that I have an idea. Okay, so if you notice, each of these activities has the subjects that it covers listed next to it. Now, do you remember back when I said that I make sure that language arts and math are covered every day, but I don't worry so much about the other subjects because I know that they will get covered eventually? If I notice that one of the activities that I have chosen covers either language arts or math, I will not do their separate language arts curriculum for that day. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you don't want to do a separate history curriculum or a separate science curriculum, but you definitely do want to have a supplemental language arts curriculum, and you definitely want to be doing a separate math curriculum. That is important. However, as I just said, if the activity that you have chosen to do that day or one of the activities covers that subject, you can definitely skip your separate language arts curriculum for the day if you are comfortable with it, because it's already being covered with the unit study. My kids actually enjoy those days because those days are a little bit faster, because instead of having 2 unit study activities per day plus their language arts and math, they will only have 2 unit study activities that day plus math. And that's not all that we do. We also do, cursive and spelling and Bible, but just so you get an idea. Okay, so now, since we already covered math for that day, language arts for that day, I would just write down math, and I know that we have to do math that day. And again, you might be doing other things in your homeschool. You might be doing a foreign language, or, like I do with my kids, I do Bible and they do cursive. But this is just to give you an idea. That already is one day planned out. That's it. Again, it's up to you how many activities you want to do with your family. You have to really work it out and tailor it to your needs. So now we'll do another day. So D2, day 2. So I stopped here. Now I will start going through them again. So now number 9, make a question book for a child to write out questions he has. Keep it where he is most likely to be contemplative. Let me show you this again. Okay. Maybe this is something that I think my kids would want to do. So I pull out my trusty planner again, and we'll put number 9. And I'll write question book. Go back, find another activity. Scan through here a little bit until I find something. Okay, number 11, practice finding answers to questions by using library resources. And then they're answering questions there. So I might think, okay, my kids would like that. So then I will write that one down. So, number 11. And then I would probably write down answer questions. And again, this is just to jog your memory for whatever it is that you're doing. Now, since neither of these activities specifically covered language arts or math for the day, then I'm very simple. I literally will just write something like LA for language arts. We actually do notebooking, so I usually write NB instead of LA, but I think you get the picture. So LA and then math, and then adding, again, whatever else they might be doing. My kids also do silent reading, which I call SR. I abbreviate everything because who has time to write everything out all the time? But anyway, this is honestly how I do each and every day. I find 2 activities that my kids like, I write them down, and then I will write in if they have to do language arts and math that day. Now, so far I don't see any here where math is covered. But there are sometimes activities where math is covered. So you might also have days where you don't even have to do your math. Okay, right here actually. Math is covered here. So if you would decide to do this activity, technically you don't have to do your math curriculum that day if you would choose to do this one. But that is honestly all that I do in order to plan out CONUS. I really hope that this is not confusing you at all, because it's not. Like, it is so simple. I'm just hoping that I'm explaining it in a way that you understand. It's basically just going through, choosing the activities that you want to do, and penciling them in. And remember, don't be really, really particular about getting things done on certain days. If something comes up and you don't get to do an activity, it's fine. You can do it the next day, or you can choose just not to do it. Just remember that. I always say there's no curriculum police that are going to come to your door. That is the case with this too. That is the case with all curriculum. Now, I did say that I was going to go back to, there are vocabulary words also, which I didn't show you. You can choose to use those also with your unit studies. Like, you could maybe have them define maybe 5 or 10 of them per day. I don't use the vocabulary words with the unit studies just because we do our own separate spelling. And I found that the words in our natural speller books, they're words that are going to get used more in everyday life. So those are the ones that we use for spelling. But you could definitely use the vocabulary words that come with the CONUS. Now, if you see here, there are also references. Sorry, not references, resources. So we have books. They will give you the names of different books that you can look up. So what I usually do is, before I start a new CONUS unit study, I will go through the book list and I will pull out my phone and I'll go on my library website and I will type in all of the books that we need and see if we have them. If we have them, great. Sometimes I might put them on hold. Other times I might just write it down and go in and get it. Other times we might not have it and I might just let it go. But if it's something that I really, really want to use with them, I might see if another library has it. But that is something else that you can do, is go through the books that they are recommending to you and use those with your unit study. That is all that I do. And again, I really hope that I did not confuse you at all, because it's not confusing in the least bit. Don't let it intimidate you. Don't let all of this printing intimidate you, because yeah, you might look at it and think, oh my gosh, how are we going to do that? That's literally all you do. Go through it. When you find one that you like, write it down, put it on your schedule. That's it. That is all that you have to do. If you have any questions that I did not address in this, just let me know. I'm hoping that you at least have a little bit of a better idea of how to do it. But again, I'm going to just go back to what I said in the very beginning. Don't look at the schedules that they have given you. Don't look at the schedules in the front that are like 8-hour school days. And don't look at the pre-planned lessons that they give you, because that also, it's bound to confuse you. So it is so much easier just going through the list and finding activities that you like and scheduling the number that you know your kids can enjoy. But anyway, that is all that I have for you today. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work, you can check out my Patreon page and see what rewards I have for my patrons there. And I hope you have a great day.